What is shaking, everybody? Hope everybody's off to a good start to their week and had a great weekend. We're out here today at Kentucky Mine Museum. We're about ready to head up and take a tour of the Stampmill, and we'll go up here, and I already went in and paid and talk to the lady, make sure we can film and get everything set up. But yeah, it should be a good one. I'm excited for this one. A lot of cool old artifacts out here in the front. I'm sure we'll be learning all about all this cool stuff. There's a memorial here. This monument is placed to honor the early Chinese people of the Sierra County who gave so much of their labor to the settlement of the West and this cold country. That was just the real quick beginning of it. It's a long one, so feel free to pause that and watch it if you'd like to. Watch it, read it. Losing my language already. We've only just started. Looks like a steam boiler here. Generated steam to run the engine to provide power to operate the mill, and compressed air for the mine. Well, the tour should be about ready to start, so I think we ought to head on in. Right as we enter the door, we got some local Native American artifacts. A mortar and pestle, and some baskets, some baby carriers. The safe here was used in the Sierra City Wells Fargo building. It was damaged in the late 20th century by robbers that put an explosive in it to blow it open. Some of the local boys of Sierra City in 1910 at the Pat Spellenberg Saloon. And here we have Jack Crossman, a tightrope performance for the 4th of July, 1888 in Sierra City. These guys are the first slackliners. There's so much really cool stuff in here. We got a display of a bunch of different barbed wire, a bunch of different horseshoes. Pretty cool scrapbook over here too. A nice display of old glass up here. You don't see lavender very often. Got this pretty old baby carriage here. Not really sure what era though. Nice. Check out these old miner's pants. It says they were found here in the Bigelow house along with a telegram from 1908. Old Edison phonograph. A bunch of cool old instruments too. Some banjos. This old organ. Miller, Oregon. Old globe. Whole bookcase full of old books in here too. This is awesome. We're summoned. The tour starts. The tour starts off with this short little video. I think it was like maybe 10 minutes long. The entire tour itself ended up taking us about an hour and 15 minutes or so. Hey, you could get all that wood up there. We're now heading outside to start the tour, the actual tour. Some info boards over there about the Townsend bats that occupy the stamp mill. So we were just informed by our awesome tour guide that she doesn't want to be on film or her voice on film, so I will do my best to gather information and do some voiceovers for you all to add some stuff. But I can highly suggest, if you're in the Sierra City, Downeyville area ever, definitely come by and check this awesome place out, the Kentucky Mine Museum. It's definitely worth it. $10 a person for the guided tour. 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock is when they start, and they're open 7 days a week. We're just making our way up now to a replica miner's cabin. She was telling us that they hand split sugar pine for the shingles on the side. Cool ore cart here, the narrow gauge rail, and it looks like what's that, Kentucky portal. This must be the entrance to the mine. Let's see if we can't get a quick little sneak peek. I'm sure we'll be back in here in a few minutes. And there's the cabin with the hand split sugar pine shingle siding. Get in here and check out this replica miner's cabin first. It's way bigger than what a miner's cabin really would be like, and tons of cool stuff. The upper two photos are examples of what a miner's cabin actually looked like. The old tin bathtub here was actually fabricated locally in Sierra City by Billy Tin. We'll see some of his other creations up in the museum a little later. We were also informed by our tour guide that most of the miners didn't fare so well and basically kept their belongings under a tarp over a tree branch. What a cool spot. As she said, it's a replica of a miner's cabin, but about 10 times bigger. Really cool stove back here. The old table. Pretty cool little display of some of the old school snowshoes. No, they're not skis, snowshoes. We got a picture of John Bassett's over here that used to run the mail locally. A lot of really cool artifacts they have here. The old trommel. And we're just getting ready to go into the portal back there that I filmed a minute ago. That was the original entrance to the mine back in the day. They're checking for rattlesnakes before we go in, though. It's awesome. We got the original workbench with some of the old drill bits, some old photos, and some old black powder boxes, like Atlas, Brand, and the ever-known Hercules. This new spot was, she said, was shored up recently by some newer miners to shore this up so that we could actually walk back in here to where the portal collapsed and you can no longer get back in here. We're watching for snakes, and there are a ton of mosquitoes in here. Super cool though. She was also saying that back in the day that the miners We're charged $3 per candle. Shows you some supply and demand even back in 1849. Back in here, you've got the old drill jack back there, and sharpening wheel, drill press, and the on-site blacksmith, bellows, and forge with some more drill bits and a single jack. That's the air compressor tank. They'd use the Pelton wheel back over here with a belt to start that engine to compress air. We're getting a really nice demonstration wheel, Pelton wheel fed by the spring up the hill.
And that belt there, man,
Boy, that thing really gets cooking when it don't have a belt connected to it. They've got a second generation canvas belt laying right there. A little look down inside here. This is where the water would come through when they turn the valve on and catches those Pelton cups and spins that. Got a picture here of the largest Pelton wheel in the world. It's actually at the Star Mine Museum down in Grass Valley. So far, it's super cool. We've got a really good guide. She really knows her stuff. It's almost a bit of a shame that she doesn't want to at least have her voice on, because she describes this stuff probably much better than I will. Right now, we're going to walk out on this trestle out here. Apparently this trestle used to only be the cross beams with no deck back in the day, so the miner had to push that 1,000-pound cart across this, stepping on each one so he didn't fall through. That's pretty crazy. Could you imagine? It's a little bit of a drop off, this thing too. Amazing view though. About a couple 100-foot haul for those miners to get that 1,000-pound ore cart over here to the hopper. Starting to go down now. This is where the crusher was that I just filmed. Can you imagine having to jump in that with a sledgehammer to free up the rocks so that they'd fall through, and hoping that you don't fall down through there and get crushed yourself? Pretty wild. There's just a quick little diagram of the actual mill and its workings. Now we're down on the second level with the crusher. So this is a Blake style, she said. So it's a little metal plate, or not a little, big metal plate. And they turn that wheel there, open that metal door, and the rock would fall in, and that plate would click back and forth, crushing the rock into smaller pieces to fall down into the next level. Absolutely amazing that every board in this place was hand hewn. These massive wheels here had to be made out of wood and steel so that they would be light enough to spin. Here's a good example of the wood section of it. This entire stamp mill is run off of one Pelton wheel, so those wheels had to be made as light as possible in order to be turned at enough speed to crush all the ore. Oh, looks like we got a little stash of some of the old core samples still stocked in here. That's really cool. There's the trays for holding the core samples. Another shot of those wheels that spin the stamp mill. Here we are on the back side of the stamps. Here's the tables with the copper sheets that were hand smeared with mercury to separate the gold from the ore. Notice the center stamp with a collar on it. That operated 2 switches that open and close the chute. You got the guide putting in some work. She's turning that Pelton wheel by hand to get the stamp mill moving so she can show us. Said she can only do it once though, so we don't disturb the bats. Apparently this stamp mill is basically a maternity ward. The bats come and give birth and raise their young. Here's the back side of the stamps where the chute is, where all the ore comes down to get pulverized. And here's a 3rd generation belt that's canvas with rubber coating. And that Pelton wheel is the main source of power for the entire stamp mill. It all runs off that one wheel. Just an absolute ton of the old tools originally used here at this mine on display, still in their rightful place. A little bit of a description here of how it all operates here and a little bit about the system. Here's a look down at the washing table. It'd be the last stage in the process of extracting the gold. And the descent down the 72 steps from top to bottom of the stamp mill is complete. Was that absolutely cool or what? So many neat items that they still have in there, and from what we were just told, this is the last operable mine, stamp mill mine in California, possibly the world. Here's a really cool example of an old steam donkey. Old sharpening wheel that you'd sit on and pedal to sharpen your axes and whatever else had an edge. This is a old water pipe made out of wood and held together with wrapped wire on it. That is wild. We'll go ahead and head back inside here and check out the rest of the museum. This larger safe here came out of the courthouse down in Downeyville. It's approximately 130 years old and somehow survived the 1947 fire. It's also one of the first time lock safes. some of the old carbide canisters that were used to put in the headlamps, mixing water and carbide to make acetylene. Apparently most of the miners trusted the old candle rather than these new contraptions. Some pieces from the amalgamation process. Down here, those are retorts that were used in the recovery of mercury at the end of the amalgamation process. Here's a replica of the Monumental Nugget, a 106-pound nugget found at the Monumental Mine in Sierra City by James Weinstead, who decided to dig in an old 25-foot deep shaft and came out with that thing. Nice little display of some old gold pans that were found in Sierra City and surrounding areas. An intact old sluice box. Photos of some of the old miners putting in work. Check this out. I'm pretty sure that's an old transport coffin made like a guitar case for getting miners up and out off the hill. That's pretty crazy. And we got a lot of cool examples of different minerals sitting there. Old hydraulic cannons blasting the mountainside away. And the old school snowshoes, not skis, we were informed, for transporting the mail.
But my goal was to get to the color change for the center block. So that was my main goal. So I was like, I might be able to do it now, might not. And so
This long pole down here, right there, that was referred to as the brake. You had to sit on that to stop. Check out that original boot, still in the snowshoe. Some old currency from the local mines that miners got paid in and went straight back to the mine. They've got some really cool books and some shirts and stuff to purchase, as well as some new writings, some books about mining and different stuff around the area to check out. We got some of the old logging stuff here on display too. That's right up my alley. Got a nice example of a crosscut saw in here, otherwise known as a misery whip. Double bit axe. Big old circular saw from the sawmill. There's a froe and shaker that were used for making shingles for roofs and siding. Bunch of random different items that would have been at the Sierra City Mercantile back in the day.
and so I'm sending to the family chat. They were staying right there. Like, here's one, this price, and here's some profiles, this price, here's the link. And then that one, it's almost $2. Oh, like, yeah, I know. It's like $2 alone, that's $45. I know. So not buy a small engine device anymore.
Pretty cool old camp stove, true burner, and potato masher here. We even got an old steel sitting here. Here's some more stuff made by William Eschenbrucker, known as Billy the Tinner. Same guy that made that bathtub up in the replica miner's cabin. Billy operated the hardware and tinsmithing shop from the 1800s all the way to 1912. All right, folks, that was such a cool time. Great museum. Very, very well described everything. Like I said, the host was awesome. Just an unfortunate. I hope I did my best. Well, I know I did my best, but I hope I kind of relayed some information well enough to spark your interest to come out and check out the Kentucky Mine Museum out here in Sierra City, California. It's awesome. And they've got this really cool spot out in front of the museum, picnic tables and everything, where you can kind of just hang out, have a little picnic lunch if you want, and kind of walk around and just check out all this cool old mining artifacts. I think that's been there a little while. You can kind of see the trestle up there through the trees going over into the stamp mill. Here we've got a drill steel sharpener. Super cool wheelbarrow for bringing the ore out. This hoist cage was used at the Monarch mine to lower men and equipment down a 320-foot vertical shaft and raise full ore cars to the surface. Operated until the late 1930s, the Monarch mine. And we got another style air compressor over here. Really cool. They just have so much really cool old stuff just kind of laying around out here. Stuff that's been found here and things that have come from other mines and whatnot. Here we've got another little sharpening wheel, different style, more of a homemade contraption. We got a cool old sled back here too from way back when. That's pretty sweet. Really, really awesome. What a cool spot. Pretty cool little display of a aerial tram car. What a great time. Hope you all enjoyed a little tour of the Kentucky Mine Museum and the stamp mill. Pack a lunch, come visit and enjoy the cool breeze in the mountains. Underneath the nice pines and everything, it's well worth the trip. All right, y'all. The woods are for meandering, and we will catch you on the next one. See ya.